you'll always sort of be discovering new types of crystals all the time and what they could do. I remember I was gifted some crystals from one of my homies about 3 years ago, and it's called tangerine. And it's a crystal that's only found in Tanzania, so far at least. And there's blue. Actually, I'm going to show you right here. I got one.
Oh, wonderful.
So this is what the red one looks like.
Oh.
Right.
And he gave me some red ones and some blue ones. Now, he actually gave me a necklace as well. And the crystal's supposed to help you help with blood circulation, and it's supposed to help as well spiritually with you tapping into the energy within your blood. And I found that really cool. So I started using it a lot more. And I didn't use it as intently then as I do now. Now it just represents like the power of my blood. And if I'm working ancestrally or something like that, or exploring the kind of DNA in my blood, I use this. I do notice every time I'm around it, there is this sort of blood energy that comes with it, some ancestral energy. So I always use it for that.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Awaken to Joy. I'm Shem.
I am Omondi.
And welcome back. We have a wonderful guest today. You've seen him here before on the show, family of the show. And yeah, it's King Cash. So I'm going to let him introduce himself as always. It's lovely to have you. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I feel blessed to be back with y'all. I know we had an amazing conversation last time. And we got lots of stuff that we're like, oh, we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this next time. So I'm excited to, I'm trying to say exchange this wisdom. Look, we both stutter in this today right now. To exchange this wisdom and to share our stories once again. For those who don't know me, I work with the GFL. I'm also a clairvoyant and an empath. And I operate as like the bridge between the physical and spiritual. And I help a lot of people connect with different beings and spirits. And I teach people about psychic abilities. And I travel the astral realm every night. I'm excited to talk about everything.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Are you going to kick it off? Because I know you had a whole entire...
Yeah. Oh, okay. Wait, okay. Do you know what? I don't know what. Here's the thing. We've got so many things to ask you. To exchange and talk about. And obviously, there's some stuff that I want to ask you, and Shem wants to ask you. So I'm going to start by the crystals because that's some things you wanted to know.
Thank you.
So crystals. Maybe you can ask a question.
Okay. I'm talking crystals here. I like working with crystals. I love crystals. I've had OBEs where I've taken crystals, or for others who say astral, OBEs, out-of-body experiences, and astral travel is used interchangeably in the conversation we're about to have, just to let everybody know. So
yes,
when I've been traveling, I've taken crystals with me on the other side, and I've used them there, and I just love using them. I use them for healing methods for myself. I use them for relaxation. I use them for protection. I use them for whatever I feel I need to amplify an energy for. I've seen your videos and the way that you use them, and I was fascinated at not only the extent to which you use them, but the inventive ways you use them. Do you want to dive into how you first got into them? Was it something that is introduced to you? And if so, how was it? Or is it something you were interested in as a kid? How was that for you?
I never was really a crystal guy. I kind of saw it as a little too woo-woo. I just see people wearing their crystals and they're like, oh my God, yeah, my crystal. So I was just like, you know what? I ain't going to do none of that. But as I got more advanced and I graduated and then I started studying my abilities and energy and traveling and all that stuff, then I started to get awareness as to how crystals could be used, but not in the way of reading about them. It was just energetically. I would just, I'd go in the crystal store and be like, whoa, what is all this energy? And of course, it's the crystals, right? But you're like, nah, it can't. I ain't trying to do none of that. I didn't want to be a crystal guy. But ta-da, we became a crystal guy. And it was because I realized in every single crystal there was a grid of there was a network of energy, I want to say. And I noticed it was like a grid system. And so I noticed you could program them. You could also receive them, and all of them naturally had a sort of energy signature and like a personality. And so you could partner energies with it and exchange with them. Certain beings would, I'll never forget this day where I think we talked about this last time, where I went to this one guy in the crystal store and he knew I was coming divinely. And he's like, yeah, I'm here for you're on assignment here. Like, I got all this for you. And I was like, damn, like I knew it was an ET, but he wouldn't admit it, but he knew I knew. And this guy was like, oh, you could use this crystal. And he pulled up all these sacred crystals. And he's like, these are crystals that nobody would use effectively, but you would. And I was like, okay. And he whips out all these crystals. And some of them, I have a bunch of them right back here. Mm-hmm. But some of them were like, I remember, here's one I got right now, even though this is not it. This one is like just an energy emitter and holder. And I use it like almost kind of like a mothership crystal. So it connects to all the other white crystals I have in my room. And it like takes energy from spirit, like the divine spirit. And I use it like that. So there's one crystal that sort of looks like this, but it looks like yin and yang, and it's long, and it looks like there's a part where you can like literally put your finger in it. And I noticed inside of it there was like it looked like a room and like a little couch in it. And I was like, this looks like there's a room in here. And he's like, this is a chat room crystal. This is where you could chat with extraterrestrials. You put your consciousness in it, and then ETs could come and talk to you in it. And it was funny because I already saw the room in there. So when he said that, I was like, yo, like, this is for real? And he's like, yeah, you could use it just like that. And then on the other side of it, when you flip it, it's like a water room. It's like for like water beings. And he's like, oh yeah, there's like you noticed that? There's like a water part right there. I was like, whoa, this is like X-Men, bro. Like, I don't know how to explain this joint. And so from there, I started playing around with different crystals and their energy. First, kind of studying their energy, or either reading about them and then doing it on my own. Yeah. But now I have certain bonds with certain crystals. Like, I love my Moldavite. For those who know, you know. I've had these ones since like 2021. And so all my crystals I have different relationships for, and bring them with me for different reasons. Like, I got lots of like these ones too. Protection. Ooh, man, I can give y'all a tour. I got fluorite for clear thinking, as well as shungite for when it comes to electronic radiation and stuff like that. So I realized that they're just like computers, and that's what they're meant to be used for.
Spot on.
Yeah. I was actually looking up now about different crystals that are actually known scientifically. And not that I care much about the science aspect of it, but I know there's a lot of skepticals, and I was one once. But there is, or it's been proven that there is crystals out there that actually are doing what you're saying. Because for instance, there's a crystal called garnet. And basically what it does, it can act as an energy modulator, and it also can transmit data. So it is very, for the skeptical out there, even in science, that too. What
of course.
And just to back it up, back up what you're saying, there's many of them. I've got a long list, even down to the diamond as well. Sapphire, and all of these crystals do all different things, whether they can store energy, electricity, and stuff like that. So I'm happy that even when you're saying it from a more etheric perspective, something that maybe people thinking like, because what we're trying to do here also on the show is to get people to consider, or at least begin,
bridge that gap between science and
bridge that gap, and like, okay, there is definitely a link, and it's for us to explore and use for our benefit. So that's definitely true.
The way we could use them is infinite, and I have so many that have different purposes, and sometimes I kind of like feel I really study their frequency first and figure out, okay, what can they best help me with? And then sometimes I'll look it up or ask a professional, and they could dive deeper into how to use it. A lot of it is just like, mind and energy based. So this is another form of technology in which everybody's going to use. I mean, there's crystals in our computers, there's crystals in our minds. So these crystalline networks are for us to use when it comes to metaphysics, and that's going to be definitely a new thing.
And another thing you're referring to in terms of telecommunication, being able like to communicate with beings and stuff like that. I mean, there is even one crystal. It's called I'm hoping I'm pronouncing it right. It's perovskite crystals, and what they're saying, they say it's a huge in solar cells research. So any storage and transfer, they can absorb, redistribute light efficiently. What that means, because we know the communication you have with the other side, it's through light, essentially. Which means that these are the crystals that you can pick up for yourself and actually use as a transmitter and emitter and help you actually communicate. So when you're saying you were like your mind was blown when you find out that, wow, I can actually use this and actually speak to beings. It's amazing, and it is real. It's a real thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah.
And when that happened, I started giving out crystals to people, especially like kids that I used to mentor in town. I would just bring around a little sack and be like, here's some magic crystals. And the kids would be like, oh, it's so cute. And they would love it. And I would just program them all to just emit light or whatever it is. And so I was able to protect them in that way. I actually would buy some crystals too. This may sound kind of bad, but to watch over my family, almost like guard them. Like I was really protective, like for example, over my sister. So I gave her like this little, it's like a crystal skull keychain. And I said, I'm going to be able to watch what she's doing through this little keychain. And I said, put this on your backpack. It's going to protect you, which it was. But I was also able to see through it. And so I was able to just see through it in my mind's eye. But then I remember the one night I went to sleep and I had a travel where I was her like the crystal I gave her. And while she's walking around, the keychain's like going like this on the backpack, and I'm like looking like through the keychain and able to see what's happening in the school. And I told her, I was like, oh, I saw da. And she's like, yeah, that's what I was doing. That's what I was doing. And I was like, oh, I got to tell you now, but I'm able to see through the keychain. I'm just watching over you. She didn't even feel weird about it. She's like, oh, like that's good. Like, thank you. And I kind of didn't want to tell her because I was like, I don't want to be creepy. But I struggled to tell a lie. So I was like, I got to tell you. And from then on, I started giving those out to like certain family members in order to watch over them and to just almost let any energies that are around them know this person is protected. And from then on, people or energies, when they see that, they just back up because they don't know what's happening with it. So they just back up right away.
It's funny we do that, and I can, in my mind, I'm already hearing some skeptics saying, you know, like that's invasion of privacy. But if we're really honest with ourselves, come on, you got Alexa, you got Google, you got doorbells, you got CCTV. Privacy done off long time. Like yes, it has to be done with integrity. And yes, you've let them know this is for this. Mm-hmm. But in the whole realm of it, peeps, it's not that much of a far stretch to say that, you know what I mean? I don't know if you're grasping like how I'm going with this, like, because I'm hearing people like, hang on a minute, wait a minute, you're watching over. But yeah, I mean, some people's got like a little spy in their bed for like nanny cams, and it's... You know what I mean?
Well,
and it's not like I'm like watching heavily like this, where I'm like watching every move. It's just like energetically, I'm able to have her protected. And then if I need to, I could see through the crystal and see what's going on. I haven't actually done it in a while because I'm like, I don't even need to look through it for her to be protected. But those were the times where just having that happen those few times was letting me know how I could use it. And so from then on, I was like, I don't need to see it through her. I just need to make sure it's protecting her. But that is something that you could use it for. Just like I have these crystals, which look like little guardians. And these I actually bring with me, and I like to have them. I consider it my astral army. So when I have them there, it's like my astral army is represented. And so I could like bring them with me and like stand them somewhere. And it's like I'm setting the intention that this thing is guarded and protected energetically. And whatever's going on, the spirits are watching over it right now. So I could put it anywhere. Like if say I'm going somewhere, like I'll bring one of these and put it on my side of my bed. And it was just like, it just represents what I already know is there, but it's intending to say, look, my intention is these beings are watching over. You could do it without the crystal, but that's a one way of creating energy beacon and kind of stronger intention. Just as you would use like stuffed animals and stuff to make a tulpa, really you could use it without it, but having that just kind of creates a stronger intention, if you want to say, and crystals just ignite the energy more.
So I was actually referring to what you said, Google and all of the stuff. Well, the thing is even more sinister than that, because here's the thing. Like you mentioned, Cash, you say, well, you know, you've got it in all technologies, and you do. You got quartz in your phones, and you got all of the stuff. So what it means is we already know that some government has been having programs when it comes to remote viewing and stuff like that. So they know how to do that, which means that via these crystals you have in and around you, they actually literally can watch. They don't need your camera. I mean, we're making ourselves feel better by putting a sticker on the camera and stuff like that. But we know through that screen and what these phones are made of and all of that stuff, they scientifically, this can be done. Specifically, if you merge the science with metaphysics, which that was my reason to underline what you were talking about the crystals, what they can do and stuff like that, and to say, okay, here's the bridge between science and that. And I think that the more we get empowered, not scared, I'm not trying to scare everyone. I don't want people to be on the fair, but just by saying, okay, well then we can use it to our benefit, because you can also blind, you know, someone, so to speak, energetically, so they can't see what you're doing. There's a lot of different things you can do for yourself.
True.
Providing that you know that. And I was going to ask you, so how can we use these crystals really, truly in our benefit and without the fear attached to it?
How do you
do that?
Yeah.
What is your go-to place?
This is all mind and frequency based. So the same way you would feel your emotions or feel your thoughts and see your thoughts is the way you're going to interact with a crystalline body. So what you could do is, like, for example, with this one, I'm like, I just want you to emit source consciousness, divine white light. And always it's going to do that. And then I could see in my mind's eye how big it goes. And then I can attach the other crystals to it mentally. I just envision that cord and I just know it's there. And so from there, after that, I leave it like that. And anytime I need that energy, I could just focus on it, or I just know in the corner that it's doing what it's doing. I feel like I'll say this, you will get attached to certain crystals or have a certain relationship with them and have them represent certain places, certain energies, certain beings, certain mentalities or thoughts. I mean, you could even have a certain crystal attached to your mind and always emitting a certain frequency, or you putting certain thoughts into it, almost like a database of information. So there's so much infinite ways you could do it, but the way to do it in general, to kind of, if you want to just play around with how you want to do it, is to use your mind, to use visualization and use your energy. You could feel your vibration attached to the crystal. You could feel your thoughts attached to the crystal or engaging with the crystal back and forth. You could even see, for you clairvoyants, you could see what's in the crystal. It's like in your mind, you could jump into the crystal and see what energy is attached to, what energy is emitting into it and out of it. So you just make sure you set the bounds of what the crystal does with intention, saying, this is what you do. If you notice, it's like you're programming a computer. That's literally what you could do with these things. And if you want to put it in the moonlight or in the sunlight, yeah, you could charge it up. If you want to wash them off, I notice sometimes I have to wash them, or maybe you want to use smoke to cleanse them. Whatever you want to do to, just like a computer, you would update it, you would clean it, you would make sure the software is up to date. You could do that exactly with crystals.
I love that. Yeah. And you also mentioned about the emissions, and I saw that you had some shungite there. And it's so timely because I mentioned it on the last live for somebody who was interested in
you did.
blue light blockers, EMFs and stuff like that, that crystals are such a powerful way. So it makes sense, and it's aligned that all of these technologies have already crystals in them. So for your EMF blockers that you would use, or disruptors, you would use crystals as that counter amplifier, as that counter power to be able to, you know what I mean? Like crystal versus crystal type of teas. But so mere fact that you said that, I was like, yeah, dead on. Like Shanghai, Obsidian, there's a whole host of them. So yeah, I love crystals.
The amount of types of crystals is so big that you'll always sort of be discovering new types of crystals all the time and what they could do. I remember I was gifted some crystals from one of my homies about 3 years ago, and it's called Tanzarine. And it's a crystal that's only found in Tanzania, so far at least. And there's blue. Actually, I'm going to show you right here. I got one.
Oh, wonderful.
So this is what the red one looks like.
Oh.
Wow.
And he gave me some red ones and some blue ones. Now, he actually gave me a necklace as well. And the crystal's supposed to help you help with blood circulation, and it's supposed to help as well spiritually with you tapping into the energy within your blood. And I found that really cool. So I started using it a lot more. And I didn't use it as intently then as I do now. Now it just represents like the power of my blood. And if I'm working ancestrally or something like that, or exploring the kind of DNA in my blood, I use this. I do notice every time I'm around it, there is this sort of blood energy that comes with it, some ancestral energy. So I always use it for that. And this is one that is not really known by people. And when he gave me these, I was really honored. And then whenever I get more like that, or someone's like, oh, here's crystals from like Iceland, and like no one else has these, I'm like, whoa, the amount of crystalline bodies we have on the planet is so divine, and it's placed here on purpose. So people saying that, I know there were some religious people that like to say that they're malevolent or stuff like that. Like, you can't label something evil that was created divinely by the planet. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Everybody's got to use these in some way.
I think that's their go-to slogan. Hashtag it's the devil. So like, it's so played out already. I just inner eye roll, and I just keep it moving. just like whatever. And
just as they would say the same thing with astral traveling, how it's demonic and stuff. But I'm like, first I'm like, you dream, right? Oh yeah, all the time. So you astral travel? No, I don't. That's what dreaming is. That's you astral traveling in your mind verse. So everybody does it. And so I like to take down these walls, because I don't want to use big boy words, but indoctrinated. Like, this has been something that's been placed on these things to keep you away from it. Meanwhile, this is something that was placed here for you to use in whatever way you like. You could use it for benevolence or malevolence, but it's there.
You could do the same with a butter knife. You could do the same with anything else that you got at home. But it's the vehicle. It's who is holding it. It's what you're doing with it. It's your intention. It's your heart space. It's where your mind's at. So
100%. I know some of our ancestors used to put crystals in our hair, or we would tie up our hair and put crystals in it. I did that a few years ago, and I loved it. I tied up my hair like a Rastaman, and I was like, oh, wait. And I took a little crystal and I went, boop, and I put it in there. And I loved it. It hugged my crown chakra. And I felt like I could bring in this beam of light and then like coat it on me. And sometimes I'd be like, okay, emit the whole room with this. And I could do that. Wow. I was experimenting a lot with crystals in 2022, 2023. And I think crystal work it's underestimated for sure. I mean, you guys should be using these to make like portals for protection, to bring in energy, for shielding. I love using them for shielding. So I want you guys to explore it on your own, because even the ways we spoke about now, there's even more ways to use it. So if you just want to take it and play around with it, go ahead and do so.
Yeah. I think it's a really good idea to actually foster like the interest. I think most of the people are not really interested. When I began looking for crystals and starting seeing, okay, I always loved crystals since I'm a kid, but then I started revisiting the idea as now I'm an adult, and I was like, okay, there's some crystals I always wanted to have. And then I remember looking for amber, and I realized that it's not what they say a true crystals, though it has the same function, like as being an emitter and receptor and do a lot of things like this. But then that led me to find out there's also blue amber that exists. And it's a very, very beautiful crystal. Well, not true crystal as they're trying to say a crystalline structure, and that they're trying to make science trying to differentiate this thing. But basically, you can only expand your awareness when you show interest at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So when you say it's beneficial, truly people need to understand that this is to your benefit, because these are the things that's been hidden. Like you said, this crystal, not a lot of people know, but it's been deliberately hidden, like this big cave of crystals, like massive crystals, like the building size crystals. They are here on Earth, and it's been discovered. So I was going to ask you, talking about having a big crystals, or you've got a small crystal, does it make a difference? Do you need to get a big one, or if you can only afford a small one, should you go for that?
I mean, if you want, you could get a big one and put it in the corner of your room if you want to. I mean, we all would like one of those, right? I would say it doesn't matter on the size. The size just lets you know how much crystalline energy that could be embodied or emitted from it. But some crystals are so powerful, just a little one of it is good enough. So like, for example, moldavite. Moldavite, I used to keep on me all day, every day, but I started taking it off at night because it's so powerful. And I consider it a soul journey crystal, one that you take with you for like as long as you can in your life. And you have a special bond with that moldavite that you have. And it's pretty expensive, just a little one, because it's an extraterrestrial crystal, or if you want to say a space one that was sent from space and brought here. And so scientists like to call it an extraterrestrial crystal because of that and how powerful it is. And so all you need is a little piece of it, and you form a bond with that one. And I take it off because it's I want to almost rest at night. I notice I kind of still have that energy emitting all throughout my body when I wear it. So I take it off at night, and then as soon as I wake up, I put it back on. So it's always on until I go to sleep. And so I even have a selenite necklace that I wear sometimes to sleep, to just extend my astral experience if I want to, or certain oils. I say whatever feels right, because this right here is good enough for my whole room and for the rooms around my room in the backyard. So I'm this is good. If you want this little one, I use for astral work. So I'll just hold it within my hands. Especially if I have a client and I'm partially astral traveling there while I'm talking to them, I'll hold it, and it's almost I call it my warfare crystal. So if I'm battling darker energies, garnet's really good for that. So I kind of just go like this. Whenever I'm doing divinations, especially in a big group of people, I bring some of these crystals and I just hold them while I'm talking and put this one down and go like this, because it just helps me do the energy work easier. So people say size doesn't matter. It does matter. I mean, it depends, right? But yeah, I guess it doesn't really.
Depends on the job at hand. Absolutely.
Yes, I like that. Mm-hmm.
And about talking about it crossing over as well. I always use this, and the thing is, it's I'm not going to say a love-hate relationship, but it always ends up turning up to be at hand when I'm going to sleep. So I'm all right, fine, I'll take you. It's it's that type of energy. It's that,
I love it.
Fine.
Is that the one you astral travel with?
Yeah, aragonite. But every time I do, I see friends and they're always telling me about ancestral stuff and ancestral teachings. And that's where I get names of past tribes, things that have... It's always about that. So every time I don't want to touch any of that energy, I'm like, no, not tonight. I don't want to... No. And I'll take my selenite. So when you said selenite, I was like, yeah, I love taking selenite to put under my pillow. And I always end up with it in my hand on the other side. I'm like, whoa, like you pass over real easy, like in the physical, like you're here. It's wonderful using them sometimes. It's a wonderful little experience and I love experimenting with them. That's what it is.
Yeah, I like how you said the crossing over to that energy of like seeing the crystal put its awareness into the other density more with you and it come with you. I like that. It actually reminds me of astral crystals that ETs might give you. They may give you technology and some of it is crystal based and it's just non-physical. So it's there, but it just doesn't have a physical body. And sometimes I like to use certain crystals to attach that crystal to in the physical. But yeah, I noticed that too, that some of these crystals, these are very interdimensional technology, but some of these technologies go now beyond the physical. And so it stretches into the higher densities as it gets out of the lower densities. So I found that interesting too, how crystals can be on these different densities or layers of reality as well. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I've noticed as well that depending on the crystals, I saw that when I use this one, aragonite, for me personally, and I guess it depends on your frequency. I mean, you can confirm that in a minute. I'm just saying that I began to experience start going over loops of sort of like whether past lives, a certain trauma that I didn't need to go through. So I then stopped using it because I realized this is not where I wanted to reside. So for the sake of moving on, so I'm guessing there's a lot of knowledge surrounding what crystal to use that need to be shared as well. But also, I'm guessing from my own experience, the frequency you hold as well and where you're at on your journey. So what is your perspective on that?
Definitely. You will be drawn to certain crystals for certain things that you're doing in the moment. Certain crystals I have are attached to certain lifetimes or energy of lifetimes. And so if I'm kind of like in that energy, say I'm in my desert planet kind of lifetimes, then I'll have my desert crystals with me, or I'll put them on my bedside. I like to have my bedside is like the altar area. It's almost like the energy that comes with me into the astral, or like a gateway. And so what's beside my bed will always change. Sometimes if I'm doing the angelic stuff, there's a lot of clear quartz and selenite. Other times I don't want nothing there, just like a little tiny little crystal. Or I have a bunch of shells and then like this blue, like a Syrian type of crystal for aquatic life. I always intuitively allow myself to see what crystal is needed. And sometimes the crystal I need is beyond what I have. And so that's letting me know, okay, it's time to go hit the store and go see what else is there. And then whatever I don't need anymore, my energy is expanding beyond that crystal and it's not of use for my journey anymore, then I will give that out to someone else who really needs that one.
That reminds me, you have a video where you speak about your astral, it's like an astral sword that you have. But here it's like, it looks like a crystal, like a selenite dagger.
Yes.
But you say you use it over there. I thought that was fascinating because I could have done with shanking someone the other night out on the other side. I said, no, thank God I didn't have it. This is why I don't hold these things. Because I'll be like, nah, you're going to have me stepping way out of my integrity on this one. So
but you don't die though.
I know, but I just wanted them to feel something that was like, don't play.
Yeah. Right, I feel you.
You know, it's that don't play energy. So I was like, but then I was like, I don't need it. I'm good. Because no.
I had those two crystals. There was the one that was selenite and the other was obsidian. That selenite one, that one broke. So I was like, okay, I don't need this anymore, obviously. So those like the swords are there in the astral, and I just kind of like manifested in my hand right away when I need to in the astral. But I like to have those in the physical to represent it at that time. So I had that nice sword, selenite sword, and I was like, yo, this is it. And then it broke up, and I was like, oh no, I was so mad. But I was like, okay, you know what? Obviously, I don't need it no more. Then actually, last year I had the obsidian dagger. I don't know if I showed it in a video, but that was my favorite ever. And I liked even sometimes putting it in my shoe just to kind of feel like, oh, you know, my crystal knife that's not sharp at all, right? It can't cut nothing, but it's just there to feel like in my lifetimes, like always having my sword and my dagger with me. So I would put it in my shoe or put it in my pocket. And it's also, because it's obsidian, it's great protector. So I felt like I was in my Budman energy with that something on me. And so from there, I always brought it everywhere. And I brought it to Kentucky with me on a mission one time. And I had a lot of like things I wanted to do there with my soul twin. And as soon as I got in the airport, I was allowed to like, it was no problem going in. But when it was time to go back home, they were like, you can't bring this thing back home, even though it was deep in my bag. And they dug up my bag and they were like, you can't take this thing. And I was like, why not? Like, there's nothing wrong with it. Oh, it's like, it's a knife. And I'm like, boy, don't play with me. And I took it from him and I put it like this. I'm like, this thing is dull as hell. It can't do nothing. And then they were like looking at each other, like trying to find a way for me to not bring it home. And they're looking at each other like, well, it looks like this weapon that is banned. And it was like a weapon that like is like, I wouldn't even say it's a weapon, but it's like, it's a thing I've never seen before in my life. It looked like a toy. And they're like, we ban these things. And because the toy thing was like kind of shaped like this, the base of it was like shaped like that. And then it was a knife. And so they were like, oh, see, it has the same shape. I looked them in the eye, I said, don't play with me. I know. What are you guys doing? Did you get paid to like to do this, to like take people's stuff away or whatever? And they're like, no, you just can't have this. I held back. I was like, okay, well, what can we do? I gotta ship it back home. So I had to like write my stuff on something and put it in the container to ship it back home. But right away, I knew I'm not getting this thing back. I'm not getting it back.
I never got it back. Someone out there with it now. They're taking it.
They're aware of the power of these crystals.
Someone wanted
that's
it.
What they wanted to do. Just for the sake of the community, I've got like an obsidian, bracelet. So basically, that's the stone, that one, not this one here, because I think it's a tiger's eye, something like that. Yeah, and that is obsidian, so it's fully black, and it looks, like astrally dangerous.
Yeah,
like like it's gonna do something. But so we have some selenite. We don't have it here, but basically
it's all upstairs. The house is covered with crystals somewhere. The kids have them in their rooms, and look under any pillow or cushion, you will find some sort of crystal.
That's how we like it.
Yeah,
resting up somewhere. They're all for most of them are like for good vibes, for patience. Like we infuse peaceful thoughts in them. If we're going through something, we just need to center ourselves. We'll be like, just sit with this for a bit and just let it amplify what is already within you. Just, you know what I mean? It's that type of energy. And the kids love them. The kids absolutely love them. They're like, yeah, I'm going to get that today. That's how I'm feeling today.
So for the selenite, we'll just put an illustration so you guys can see what it is.
For the selenite. So that brings us on to your portals. Just how you use them was fantastic. Like creating portals in your home for the beings to come, and like this way that you'd done it, it was just ingenious that you would have them pass a certain way so that you could see them coming as they came in. You could kind of vet them. It was brilliant. Do you want to explain that for someone who hasn't seen that video? Though they should go check it out.
Yes, actually, first thing I want to say about the obsidian is I like how you said it was like it's like actually dangerous. I'll never forget when my one friend went to Disneyland in LA, and she brought with her like a big crystal ball that was in her purse. I think she like bought it, and then she was then going in, and then she's like, "Oh, then I'll just go in with it and then take it home after." And they stopped her at the gate and was like, "You can't take this thing in." And she's like, "Why? It's just a crystal ball. Like, there's no problem." And they were insisting that she couldn't take it in. They said that it's dangerous. And right away, then I knew, right? I'm like, okay, this is a spiritually dangerous weapon. And she was asking me, she's like, why wouldn't they let it in? And right away, we know, right, when that happened, it's like, oh, that's a spirit weapon. And they were like, oh, well, you can use it to hit someone. Girl, bye. It wasn't about hitting nobody. It was just energetically dangerous. And, Disneyland and all that stuff it's geared toward a certain business, which is not totally beneficial for the people behind the scenes, and they want to limit that. So I want to mention that because it's leading me to the portals and using crystals for portals as well. So mirrors are really good portals.
Yeah.
And I first started experimenting with them 2022. I remember my spirit guides telling me how I could use mirrors as portals. And I was like, it's funny because these times I'm talking to spirits, but I'm like I'm treating the spirits like they're physical people, but I'm not listening to what they're saying fully. So they'll be like, oh, it's a mirror. And I'm like, okay, right? I'm telling the spirit, oh, okay, we're going to see about
like that. I stay eye rolling, and I got one guy called Gareth, and he's had enough. He's like a full-blown girl bye. Like, the way I'd be questioning everything he'd be saying, sometimes he'd be like, listen, just... One time I arrived, I was a mess. I was supposed to have a whole meditation moment, and he was supposed to like take me through some stuff, and I arrived a mess, and he was like, just go on, man. Just go to the bath thing there. And he sent me elsewhere, like immediately. It was like, it wasn't here for it. It was like,
they go like this.
What are you doing with this? And I'll be like, sorry, G, I don't know what to say to you. Like,
this is what they did to me, bro. Because they were like, they're like, oh, use the mirror as a portal. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna play around and see how this goes then. So I opened up the mirror, and it's a big mirror right here, and I said, okay, you know what? Whoever wants to come through, pull up. I went to bed that night. Whoa. I went to bed that night, and I'm in a dream, and there's this shadow guy. He had long black, imagine just like a black figure with red eyes, and it had long, sharp fingers. And it was like peeking around the corner in my dream, and like keep going like this. And I'm like, I looked at it, I'm like, you're not supposed to be here right now. I know you're not supposed to be here. It changed the dream. Then it changed the dream to like make me, it was almost like a hellish type of energy, like to put me somewhere that is like your personal hell. And so for me, it was like, oh, you got to redo school and you got to go through it all again. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to just redo it better then. I'm going to do it way better than I did before. And the thing got pissed. Changed the dream again. Changed the dream to where it was like a fake awakening, to act like I woke up in my bed, but I didn't. And then the shadow guy was like going like this, like around me, like coming at me. And I looked at it and I was like, you ain't gonna play with me. Like, I just like shook my head at it. And from there, I woke up, and I really for real woke up, and I was like, okay, this is for real. And I heard footsteps walk away from my bed and go into the mirror. That day showed me, okay, like, this is real, but now you see. I felt like I always had to see for myself the things that the spirits were teaching me. So after that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna lock this joint. What do I do to lock it? And they gave me a whole briefing. You could use crystals to emit energy on the mirror. You decide what beings come through, and this is how you lock it. And then you update the portal every other day or whenever, just with your mind to reprogram it, so then there's no leaks. I would like to call it leaks. Sometimes it's like a leak of a different energy that comes through, that's pushing through to come in. And I had those before. But it's weird because you could see it. You could see when the mirror, the portal needs to be updated, but you're just like, oh, whatever. And you have to re-establish the energy. And so I like to use crystals to kind of just keep that energy for me. And then I just mentally attach my energy and I'm like, okay, thank you. And then I see it going over the mirror. At this point, you don't even need mirrors. You could use like ring lights. You could even just use a wall. Like you guys see I have a portal right here. This one.
Yeah.
And then I also have a portal over here, but there's nothing there. And that's my angelic portal. So I like to use portals in different ways. So some that are unseen and some that are seen. Some of my cousins, when they come in my room, they're like, whoa, it's like it's a whole nother like energy in here. It feels like you're in a separate place from the house. And I designed it like that on purpose. And then when they look around, they're like, it feels like it's so big in here. Like it's huge. And it's because the big ass portal that I have right here.
Yeah.
And from then, last thing I'll say about that is I would have astral travelers come with me. Like the kids that I'm mentoring or like my sister's friends or my friends' friends, I would invite them in the astral realm and just bring them through my portal to go somewhere. And I'd be like, okay, whoever remembers, we'll see. And then someone hit up my sister, yo, like I had this dream with your brother that we were going through this mirror portal in his room and we were doing this and that. And I was like, hey, you remembered. And I love doing that. So it started with me just using the portals just for myself. Like if I could use this to hop into the galaxy easier, I just hop up my body and hop into the galactic portal easier or whatever it is. I love that. Then it got to the point where I'm like, wow, I could use these as like for missions. Even like I have a garbage portal. It's like literally right down here. And it's just like a pit of darkness. And when I don't like an energy, I just go, whoop, and I just hop it in the garbage real quick. Anything I don't like, I'm like, I don't like that, whoop, and I just hop it in the garbage.
So
I love it. You make it yours, and that's what I keep on telling people to do.
Yeah.
You've got to make this journey yours.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was going to go back a little bit on the obsidian real quick, just because you did mention, skepticism. And I mentioned it as well. So just so people know, it's hope I'm saying this abbreviation right, a EMF blocker. Mm-hmm. That's what many companies that actually sell you these EMF blocker are using, obsidian. So you can only imagine the energy. And if you don't know what that is, just go Google it, find out for yourself, or ask ChatGPT, it will tell you. And then you've mentioned I'm losing my train of thought. As another thing was
the astral tech.
Yeah. Wait. This is about the portals. What you're referring to mirrors. I just like to say a simple way to see things and think about how do you make mirrors. What material do you use? Which is sand, right? Mm-hmm. Why sand? So now I'll let you figure out. But basically, if you're skeptic out there, you can just even link it directly back to sand. Yeah. So that leads us to now something that is fantastic. And you've mentioned the last time we talked about, which was the watch, astral tech. And we said, okay, well, Shem agree with that. Say like, well, we've got to talk about astral tech for sure. And you did mention it. So now we want you to tell us possibly all you know about it.
Just a little bit about when they... No, because
no, I know. All you can say, all you're allowed to say.
Oh, see, you like the way he was like, no, I'll let you start with the crystals because you like crystals. I was the crystal skeptic. He was the child who loved crystals. He didn't start, this crystal conversation for me. He's all in.
But
you know what I mean?
Okay, you know what? There was a time in my life where I decided, you know what? I follow this. I just say, no, that's it. I don't want to know because affairs I was holding, and I was it. And you were 100% into it, which you brought me back to the idea of crystals.
Yeah.
So I'm just, give you the honor to actually ask the question.
Yes.
It's what you wanted to talk about the last time. So
wow.
I wasn't going to steal that. I wasn't.
That's how you frame it. Oh,
no. I wasn't going to steal that question from you.
So you guys are the best, bro.
It's not that serious, is it?
No, it's not.
It's just crystals after all, isn't it? It's not that important, is it?
Yeah. Just your childhood. This is what? Yeah.
Now go ahead. Astral tech. So
Astral tech, yeah. So
you know what? I could say in general astral tech, and then if you guys want, you could just point me into what details you want to dive into more.
love.
Yeah.
So astral tech, consider it like tech in the physical to make it easier. The way you use a phone, the way you use your technology is the same way you use technology in the astral realm. Now, extraterrestrials use what humans call interdimensional, multidimensional technology. It's just them being able to, especially like, for example, their ships, which travel between dimensions. We're really traveling between densities. So how they travel faster than space and time is traveling through the spirit realm. And so they shift from the physical into spirit and then from spirit into the physical. And sometimes they're going to civilizations which are only astral. So they stay in the astral, right? So people say they're interdimensional. Okay, yeah, we'll take that. And so this technology they have goes between all these different densities. And so you will have as well technology in which will not have a physical essence. I mean, I never played around with trying to materialize it. I never really saw a reason to. But this technology is more focused astrally. So you could have a like me and the homies in the server love have a different technology that we only have in the astral. Like there may be a crystal ball like I have in the astral realm, in which is like a tesseract, and it's a tesseract of energy. And so I use that to interact. Maybe it's like a tesseract of etheric energy, or what's the phrase people call it? Like black. What's that black energy they call it? Black matter. Stuff like that. Yeah, I've experimented with that a lot. The astral wash, I love. What else? I experimented with guns when I was on a lot of like demon hunting missions. I got a lot of like gun technology, and I got to play around with that. Many of them were just like guns that I used in past lives that I started using now in the astral.
Okay.
Any way you could see yourself using technology here is the same way it will be over there, but of course a little more advanced and way more metaphysical, and less like you need to insert this and do that. It's like you just do it all psychically.
Intuitively.
Yeah, that's very interesting. You know what? The most important things for me, it was to understand, to get to wrap my head around the idea of an astral technology. And for instance, you referred to guns, but we know in this life, if you use a gun on someone, they're going to be hurt and they can possibly die. But when you think about the astral, you can't really be armed. So what would be the use of it? Like, why would you need it, and how would you use it, and what would be the effect of using it? And would that also cross over this current reality? Meaning that if, say, someone was to arm you with one of these tools or technology, would you feel the effect in this life?
Yes. So guns would be really just energy combaters, if you want to say. Imagine like a gun that shoots energy. And it's like if you shoot a demon with a bullet of light, it's going to heavily impact that being, even like get rid of them. Like if it kills them, they're just going to be sent back to their density or their level of reality, which is more aligned with them. So when you eradicate a certain astral being, you're basically just sending it back to where it's originally from, if you want to put it like that. And so if you were to shoot somebody that's angelic with that weapon, it's not gonna affect them at all, unless it's like maybe like a actually, you know what, I'm gonna give this example of some malevolent technology. So long story short, this is when I was getting to understand extraterrestrial presence, and I had some reptilians, like physical reptilians, in which were making their presence known to me. Like some would like literally come to my door and be like, "You got to stop what you're doing." Like knock on my door and say, "Stop what you're doing because we see what you're doing." And I told them like, I'm not gonna stop. I'm not gonna stop. That led to so much more other stuff. But long story short, I remember I was told by my spirit mom or my soul mom that I was going to interact with some reptilians in the physical. And I was just like, okay, we're going to see. Of course, I met some guy and he goes, like, as soon as I saw him, I knew he was a reptilian. But I was like, you know what? Let's see what happens if I hang out with the reptilian, right? This man, he smelled so bad. And his eyes were weird. His skin was kind of weird. You could tell spiritually, but when you look, you could also see the physical representations.
Yeah.
And so, long story short, we hung out, and basically, like, this guy wanted to massage me and stuff, and like touching me. It was kind of weird, but I gave him permission to, and he was just like rub my shoulders, whatever. And then he was quick to drop me home, and I felt like there was something on my back. I'm like, what is on my back? And after that, I remember I went for, I'll spare you guys the details, but so much negative stuff happened that day, which was triggering me to go in a lower vibration. Like some of my worst fears, like soiling myself, which I haven't done since I was 6.
Yeah.
And I was in all white and randomly I did. And it's like, what? Wow. Like that's one of my worst fears. I was like, what? That's nasty. Yeah. Then I go home. I feel really insecure. I'm like, why can't I figure out what to wear? I tried to shower this thing off and I couldn't. I forgot to sage too. I went home, skateboarded and like totally smacked my head on the concrete. I like all this bad stuff was happening that day and I knew whatever was on me was a reason. But it was all preventing me from going on my mission that day, which was at the skate park. And before I got to the skate park, something in my head kept saying, don't go. Look what happened to you all day. You're going to go now and embarrass yourself. And I was like, okay, you know what? Whatever happens, happens. I got my mission to do here. The day was great. I had a fantastic time there and I did my spirit work I need to do there. Then when I left, I noticed it was gone. It wasn't on me anymore. And so I had to talk to my spirit mom. So we got on the phone. I was like, hey, like, there was something that happened and she's real good. She's like, oh, yep, you had some technology on you. And I was like, okay, what's technology? So it wasn't a curse or nothing. I thought it was a curse. And she's like, no. It was just technology that was tracking your energy. So whenever your energy went up, something would happen to bring it back down. And when she's saying that, I'm like, okay, that makes total sense because everything that was happening was like my worst fears and like what I didn't want to happen. And she said, then your energy got to a certain point and it busted up. It like bust off. And so she said that it explained everything. I was like, oh. And it felt like a giant like leech on your back. And so she made me awareness of that astral technology. So she's like, whenever you give a negative being permission to kind of be in your aura and to kind of like do whatever in your, like how he was touching me, it was like, now they're gonna put that on you. And so think about that. That's a negative version of it, but you could do the reverse. You could do the total reverse and affect people physically in whatever way it is. Now, I will say that if you're, say, using a sword in the astral and you're fighting, say, a physical person that's also astral projecting, and you guys, and say they're like an evil witch, okay? You're fighting an evil witch that's astral traveling and you're a positive shadow hunter, GFL agent, and you're battling, you may wake up sometimes and there's like a scratch on you or whatnot, or they wake up and because you bust them up, now they're like really tired. Maybe they even wake up with a little bruise on their leg, whatever it is. Yeah, that's true, Ting. So many of you astral warriors, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes you just wake up with like a, like if you say you're fighting like a reptilian and there's like scratches on you or gargoyles, whatever it is, just as you work with light beings and then you wake up with like a little star map on your arm, or you just feel like you could see the light and everything all of a sudden. All these things have physical effects because everything comes from the spirit realm.
Yeah. And this is the importance of, I can relate. I used to have bear scratches It's come back home with bear scratches. I'm like, how? Imagine though, I don't know. I at the time, I never realized that what was happening in what I thought, what I was told was my dreams, was true things.
Yeah.
So I'm not evaluating it as such, but then there would be times I'll be like, look at the bottom of my leg, it's all scrape up, like things like that. So I could definitely relate with that. And I can relate with the reverse. I've had moments of grief and been with certain beings, and I know that they've been doing work with me to work through a lot of the grief, and I've just woken up and the grief has not been there when I woke.
Yeah.
And I know grief is so heavy, and I know where I had to go to get it healed like that, to get it lifted like that, to be able to let go to that extent, to allow myself to let go to that extent, to have that understanding, that knowing that it's okay. So yeah, I know it's a twofold thing, but the energies thing that you were saying about the people touching you, that brings me to sacred energy exchange when you're on the other side. Now, I know a lot of people dance around it, but when you go to sleep and people have been saying, oh, you know, when you're told, like, when you're younger, you're like, oh yeah, wet dreams, da-da-da-da-da, blah, blah, blah. I need people to realize you're clapping cheeks for real out here, okay?
Yeah.
Like, it's happening. Like, and this is a sacred energy exchange. And when you're dealing with it, it comes with so much. I think it's more a matter of awareness for people, and the fact that that exchange is literally just that. You are exchanging sacred energy with people. So them attaching whatever their traumas are, or their, and knowingly and unknowingly, it's not, some people are doing it not knowing that that's what's going to happen.
Right.
But when you know, can you give any insight on that? Especially because it's so popular right now to astral travel. It's so popular right now to do the thing knowingly now. But there's things, there's levels to it. There's knowings that are great to know. It's not beware of, it's just be aware of.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any awarenesses around sacred energy exchanges that you would like to share with the collective?
I'm really glad you brought that up, because it's so true. And it is true thing when you're really going out there and you're having sexual experiences, or you're having intimate experiences, whether it is an actual being or a human you're actually traveling with, or it is a dark entity that is looking to take your life force. This is true thing you guys are doing. I've had many astral relationships. One was actually with the demon, because I didn't understand how it worked. It was with the succubus, because I thought, oh, like I get to have sexual interactions with this being, and it pretend to be someone that I have a crush on or whatever, and they also get my energy, so it's like a good exchange. But it was so draining. It lasted almost a year. It was so draining that I realized I got to cut this off. And then when I cut it off, I felt so much better. And I wouldn't say I did it every day that year, but it was like whenever I wanted to, I would just hit it up. Like on the phone, be like, all right, let's do this. And so it was like my astral plug. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I had that, and then I cut it off because it was so draining. And the being would also pull up when I'm doing a mission and be like, hey, why don't we? And I'm like, no, I can't right now. Like I'm working, right? I'm in the astral working. And this thing wanted to do more to get my energy. I started clocking that T, so I cut it off. That was one of the negative forms of it. But I've also I've had way many more positive, to where I was in relationships with certain extraterrestrial beings that were human. And it was like we were dating for a while, and I can still see them when I like now. But it's like it would be like a physical relationship. Like you just have history with a certain entity, or I don't want to say that because that sounds negative, a certain being having a relationship with that, and they were all human-like or human-looking. Yeah. I've had 3 of those. And they actually taught me about being in a relationship physically. Because yes, we would be intimate, and I would never, it would never lead to a wet dream or anything. I noticed that. If it's positive, it doesn't lead to that. Yeah. So you're just having this love exchange with them, and you can feel it in your heart. You don't feel it down here, you feel it in your heart. Those I'll honor forever. These relationships I had, they lasted for a certain time in the astral, and then they cut off, but they all taught me something about intimacy, and the way they ended always taught me something about relationships too. So it was all for me to bring it into the physical. I did notice the love exchange was always, sometimes I'd just hop in the astral and be like, I just want to hang out with them all day. We would just go to wherever city in Orion, like a floating city in Orion, and just like go to like the theme parks there and just like chat with people. And it's like I got my partner with me. I loved that. And so again, I just was able to bring that energy, that wisdom with me to the physical for when it's time for a relationship in the physical. And if you want to extend this beyond intimate relationships, I have so many homies that I walk with in the astral all the time. Like I got some like the Adorni. I remember I made that video with the Adorni, and I got to walk around Orion with them. That was definitely a very memorable time that'll always hold me forever. Getting to hang out with these beings that is soul family, it's even more real than the physical. And I want you guys to know that. So intimate or friendly or family, it's going to feel way more wholesome or way deeper than it does in the physical. And that makes you physically want to make your relationships more spiritual. Yeah.
Absolutely contest to that. Like that is that the right word? Absolutely agree with that. Because that was what once we realized like what we're doing and how powerful we are and what's going on here, we were like, so we can deepen our relationship. That now we do outer bodies together. Like there's so many different things we do together. Like if I need help, I know I can call on his energy in the astral light, no problem, and he's there. That's for anything. Like I know he'll stop what he's doing and he is there. And vice versa, like he's pulled up so many times.
What we've noticed as well, not say, because sometimes you're conscious, but this time you're not fully conscious. So what you're able to do is to, when something's happening, say in her dream, and I know this is BS or there's something going on, someone's trying to do something, I can walk in a dream and tell her like, oh, it's not true, just wake up or feel like that. So you can do that for one another, which you have each other's back, because that happened before. And once you understand the mechanism of that, and you've explained it very well as well, what relationship matters and the one that doesn't, and how to differentiate between the two. So yeah, I 100% resonate on that with what you just said. And how can we be influential for one another as well? So do you have any advice you could give people as well how to practice that?
Increase the spiritual relationship with people. So whoever you are connected with in the physical, you can feel the depth of it. I want you to feel the depth of that deep love you feel in your chest for them, and that telepathic connection that's also formed between people that you have a strong bond with. I mean, people that we here have strong bonds with, we have telepathy easy with them. We know when they're thinking about us. We know when they're about to hit us up. We know when it's time to, like, we just have this telepathic understanding that is unspoken and sometimes spoken, but is also hard to explain to people that don't have the same experience. And so having that deeper spiritual experience in physical relationships helps you to have the same depth as you would within an astral relationship, because there's way more depth over there. So you're bringing that, instead of just, oh, like we're physically intimate. Okay, well, we're mentally intimate, we're emotionally intimate, we're soul intimate here. That is what creates such a strong bond. Some people, like some family members I know, they'll have a strong bond with someone physically, and because they can't hang out physically, or they want to be in a relationship, but like one of the parents won't let them, then they just link up in the astral, and then they'll just hang out and be intimate in the astral. And it's because their souls are pulling for each other to be connected, but they can't. So they do so. So then some of my family members would be like, oh, I can't hang out with them in the physical, but I keep having these dreams where they pull up and then we talk about stuff, and then sometimes we get intimate, or we just have amazing intimate talks and connecting and hanging out. And that's how it is. Like, you can't do it in the physical, so let's just do it in the astral. And they're not even doing it consciously. It just happens. But for more people that are powerful spiritually, they do it consciously, or it happens a lot more unconsciously. Yeah, and I will say, I like how you brought up the how you guys would be there for each other. This reminds me of traveling into black holes and having a partner. I was always told by ETs when I was getting training, it took me months to train to go into black holes. But they told me, you have to go with someone, or you should go with someone, unless you're an elite class person, which as advanced as we are, we still got to go with someone. Because going into black holes, you're traveling. If you don't know what you're doing, you can get kind of, I want to say lost in the void. You can always go back to your body, but you can kind of just get lost without control of what you're doing. And then by the time the experience ends, then you get smacked back in your body. And then you're like, shoot, I didn't know what I was doing there. So you always be able to go back to your body. But you can kind of get lost in the void there. And you can kind of go to areas that you're not supposed to. So if you try and go into black holes and you don't have training yet, you could be flying toward a black hole, and your guides will say, you'll hear them out loud say, nope, and then pull you away. And then you're like, why? And they're looking at you like this. Because you got to train first, bro. You can't just pull up in a black hole. The way they use black holes is like portals. So black hole is like, long story short, it's used by ETs as portals because divinely they are folds in space and time, essentially. And so when ETs use it, they use their technology, and then they could just use a black hole to go wherever the hell they want to. And if you astral travel in them, you can do the same thing. You travel through space and time, for real, for real. This reminds me of Interstellar. Literally like that. Okay, and so when you go here, you have to have a mental fortitude to be able to hold yourself and also not forget where you are. Because I remember when I went into a black hole with my sister, they were like, choose someone to go with. So I chose my sister. And long story short, again, we go through and we travel through the in-between, which was so potent. This experience was way more real than the physical. And they were like, okay, your turn. Time for you to do it after we had you do it with us. And I was like, yo, what? Like, I got to do it on my own? And they're like, yeah, just make a portal or go into the black hole and do this and do that. And so I went in, and my sister, we got pulled into a different part of the universe, or like a universal timeline, part of the multiverse. And we go into like this timeline that's sort of like Earth, but not Earth. And the people there know of people going into timelines that aren't theirs and messing it up. And so when people hear that someone from another universe or part of the multiverse is there, they kind of get freaked out. They're like, oh no, like we gotta find them because it could cause issues. And they have a history of that happening. So I remember me and my sister were like going around, and then at one point we got to our house in this timeline, and she started living like it was real life. Like she forgot that this wasn't her reality. And then the version of her came in. And first I was like, yo, you got to wake up. We got to get out of here. And she was like, oh yeah. Like, and she snapped out of it. And then a version of her came in and said, you guys got to go. Like, it's dangerous for you guys to be here. And so then we made a portal, and then we left through the black hole again. But that showed me what my guys meant by, to prevent drifting, you have to go with somebody. And now I see what that is. Drifting is when, just like you guys were saying, it's like you got to remind yourself, like, look, get back in the game. You're not in your reality you're meant to be rooted in. You're just here experimenting and playing around in here. And so drifting is something that is preventable by going with someone. Anytime you travel in a black hole, travel through space and time, you'll have a partner, whether it's someone you know or it's an ET that's like, oh, like, I'll go with you. They choose someone to go with you. You'll always go with someone to keep you rooted.
I can see why.
To be anchored.
Especially, yeah. And we're always there for one another. Like, even the other day, like, something happened at the front door, astrally, and I was just like, yo, babe. And he just came, what? And I was like, I'm going to go change my socks. And and he just dealt with it. Like, so it's that. And we called this in about 3-4 years ago. We were like, you know, we want our relationship to be more than just physical. Like, if lockdown, if all of that madness didn't teach anybody anything, it was at least that our connections have to be deeper than just here.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So that you're not fearful. No one can hold that over you to say, well, you'll never see them again. Is that what you want? Well, then do as I say.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I said, that there will circumvent all of that. It's that inner knowing, that inner knowing that you're always connected. And that happens if you bring that into this life, bring that into your waking life, you know, like you were saying. Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's also remembering. And you know what's funny, Cash, you just mentioned black hole. And I remember maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when I was looking at the stars and was obsessed about it and stuff like that. So I wasn't where I am today. But I remember looking at the black hole and being perplexed about it and be like, these are portals. At the time, I didn't even see Interstellar yet to say, okay, that's where I got the idea.
You intuitively knew already.
So I interestingly knew. So it's also to bring people to trust themselves.
Yes.
Do you see that little voice and you say, oh, no, I'm making shit up. It's not true. No.
Right.
It is. Your imaginations, if you use it as a tool, it will serve you, it will help you. And usually you're not far off. And all these things in movies, they're drawn from people like us, people that channeled or people that use their imagination in order to bring this here. So it's so important for people to remember that's who we are and that's what we're doing.
And that's what we can do.
Yeah, and you're not alone. You can literally help each other.
And it's available to all of us. We just have to lock in. Like, it's not... Even what you were saying, that simple idea of you're thinking about someone and then they call on your phone. Mm-hmm. Even the most, what they would like to say, asleep person has at least experienced that.
Yeah.
But what are you framing it as when it happens to you is the important thing. Are you seeing it for what it is? It is not by chance. It's not coincidence. It's a form of telepathy. But we're told, oh no, that's only for people who, there's no hierarchy to this. There's no, it's just allowing for that understanding to sit within you as it's supposed to, instead of brushing it off constantly as something that doesn't belong to you or belongs to a certain amount of people or whatever narrative you're running at the time, you know, to push away that connection that belongs to you, that is you, that
this is natural to us. I know exactly what you're saying, because this is something that is supposed to be natural to us humans. We've done this way before this era of humanity. And so the Egyptians and Atlanteans did this. Telepathy is the universal language. So people be like, oh, how do you talk to, they make fun of us. How do you talk to aliens? They know English? Man, get out of here with that. This is all telepathy here. And this is the universal language. Just as we all interact with each other telepathically. Yes, humans are now awakening in consciousness. So this understanding, they're experiencing it, realizing there's a reality to it, but haven't honed in on it fully yet. It's because humans are a baby civilization, or have had to always restart over and over. Like all the humans before us had ET contact, they had the technology, did all this, but then they had to restart. Or parts of their civilization went to the other hidden continents on the planet or went off planet, and then the rest were wiped clean. So always had to restart. So now in this era we're getting into this area where we have ET communication and contact, which means we're going to have ET friends, family, lovers, all this stuff. And they all are very advanced spiritually. And we always say, we talk about spirituality and this stuff, but this is the normality back home out there. And so this is just baby stuff. It's introducing, it's like a baby playing house. It's like, oh, we're playing house, but now, okay, playtime is done. This was just mimicking you owning a real house, owning a real family, all this stuff. And that's like that. Humans are playing house right now. And they're about to be introduced to everything. So take note of the way that you are already having telepathy happening and experiment with it. Because as you get more advanced, you start having telepathic contact with other beings and spirits. So next thing you know, you're talking to dead people. Next thing you know, you're talking to fairies and different star beings that are interacting with Earth. We like to say ETs DMing people, because ETs will be like putting their thoughts to people, being like all of a sudden you just keep thinking about Andromedans. You're like, why do I keep thinking about Andromedans? Why am I seeing Andromedans? Why all of a sudden my homegirl's calling me about Andromedans? Is letting you know that the Andromedan energy is like hitting you up and saying, when you're ready, like hit me up, right? We'll be right here for you. It's like someone texting you saying, hey, you want to hang out? And you're like, oh, let me get back to you. And that's really what's happening. And so then you're able to interact with the Andromedans more astrally, or partial astral projection, or just etherically, you're interacting with them. And so telepathy is the way of the universe. Many people say, scientists would say, like, I think it was Haim Eshed, which was the defense minister of Israel. And he was talking about how the Galactic Federation of Light is real. And he was saying, until humans know what space is, there will not be human and ET contact. And we're starting to understand what space is now. It's ether. It's all, space is spirit based. It is the physical is like one of the furthest things away from the divine. It's what divine beings jump into to have a certain experience. So 1D is physical, and then 2D is etheric, and then 3D would be astral, 4D would be mind-based. We've kind of mixed up, and we just say, 3D is physical and all that stuff. So I still say that to make it easier for people, but really 1D is the physical. And so that's the furthest away from source you could get. And then from there, everything else comes into play. So we're always going to be spiritual, but it's about how spiritual, or what are we using the spiritual power for? Because negative ETs use spirit power, use the spirit realm. They all know about this reality, but they use it for their own agenda. So they're far away from source. And then there's the reverse, ones that use it for positive and that are very close to source. Mm-hmm. So the ascension of everything always happens, and spirit-based way of living, or I should say awareness of spirit, is the normality.